Did you know that a surprising number of famous people once owned secret homes they never wanted the public to discover? Each celebrity had their own personal reasons, but once they passed away, the homes were revealed, and with them, bizarre details came to light. Below are 21 peculiar celebrity residences that Hollywood seemed eager to keep under wraps. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin resided in a Beverly Hills house that was modest yet brimming with playful charm, fitting for the genius behind classic films like City Lights and Modern Times. Built during the 1920s, this cozy home wasn't massive, but it contained a hidden tunnel rumored to lead to a discreet wine cellar. Stories claim Chaplin used that passage to avoid nosy reporters or to host intimate gatherings away from prying eyes. Another intriguing feature was a miniature stage on the property, perfect for rehearsing comedic routines or testing fresh ideas before shooting began. Although Chaplin was one of the world's most renowned entertainers, he kept the original 1920s decor intact, suggesting he never lost the simplicity of his early days. When political tensions grew more intense during the McCarthy era, this humble house became Chaplin's personal refuge, though that turmoil eventually drove him to leave the U.S. completely. His playful side also found a place in the garden, where he installed whimsical sculptures and fountains echoing the light-hearted spirit he brought to his films. Today, the house remains in private hands and doesn't allow public tours, yet it continues to be a cherished piece of Hollywood history, a calm monument to Chaplin's creative soul and a reminder that even world-famous stars need somewhere to dream. Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson's Beverly Hills abode, often called Casa del Sol, was every bit as theatrical as the star herself. Built in the 1920s with a dazzling Spanish-inspired style, it boasted arched doorways, striking tile details, and even a private chapel. Swanson, who soared to the top as one of Hollywood's earliest true celebrities, adorned the mansion with exotic pieces, including Egyptian artifacts and one-of-a-kind antiques from around the globe. Behind that glamorous facade, though, lay a few hidden tales. A secret corridor led to a small out-of-view room, likely used for confidential meetings or possibly just a secluded hideaway. Famous for throwing parties that wowed even a town built on spectacle, Swanson hosted an endless stream of notable guests. Yet by the 1930s, her stardom began to fade, and maintaining that grand home became more burdensome. Financial woes forced her to sell it, and as time passed, the property changed hands multiple times until Casa del Sol was finally demolished. Its disappearance underscores how Hollywood's golden era can slip away almost as quickly as it arrives. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn's Mulholland Farm served as a legendary playground for the dashing star of Captain Blood and the adventures of Robin Hood. Nestled in the Hollywood Hills and constructed in the 1940s, this estate featured a main residence, a guesthouse, and a glittering pool surrounded by lush foliage. Known for his sword-wielding roles on camera and real-life scandals off-camera, Flynn added all sorts of eccentric touches. He built a secret passage that led to a hidden bedroom and installed a two-way mirror so he could observe visitors without being seen. He also included a shooting range to practice firing guns and a private bar perfect for lively parties. Yet beneath the glamour lay a darker truth as Flynn's career took a downward turn in the 1950s, and he grappled with mounting health and money issues. Mulholland Farm began to fall into neglect, reflecting the actor's own personal decline. Ultimately, the property was sold and eventually torn down, wiping out any physical proof of Flynn's uninhibited existence. Still, rumors of hidden tunnels and raucous events linger, capturing the spirit of Flynn's larger-than-life persona, and reminding us that Hollywood has a way of both elevating and exhausting its brightest idols. Mae West. Mae West chose a different route than most Hollywood luminaries by selecting a stylish but relatively humble apartment in the historic Ravenswood building. Even so, it was anything but plain on the inside. West famously decked out her surroundings almost exclusively in white, from plush carpets to glossy mirrored walls. The space's most eye-catching feature was her bed shaped like a seashell, a whimsical piece that echoed the cheeky humor and bold flair she delivered on screen. She also displayed mementos from her movie career, including grand costumes, props, and photographs that traced her ascent to stardom. Despite her fame, she never felt pressured to purchase a sprawling mansion. West stayed in the Ravenswood for decades, even as Hollywood shifted and new stars rose and fell. Over the years, tales about ghosts and supernatural sights have circulated, with residents claiming to feel her presence in the corridors. Whether any of that is true, her longtime apartment remains a powerful testament to West's fiercely independent streak. She charted her own path, unbothered by passing fads, and continues to evoke images of razor-sharp wit, unforgettable one-liners, and a performer who refused to fade into the background. John Barrymore. John Barrymore's Bella Vista estate in Beverly Hills captured the magnificent yet complicated nature of an actor famously called the Great Profile. Built in the 1920s, it sprawled across the landscape with a towering library full of rare books and manuscripts, some concealed in secret wall compartments. With his deep love of classical theater, Barrymore also fashioned a private stage where he could rehearse Shakespeare or entertain a fortunate circle of friends. The Gothic-inspired decor, shadowy wood paneling, and dramatic lighting revealed his flair for the theatrical, proving this was no run-of-the-mill celebrity home. Barrymore's fondness for animals also showed itself. He kept a monkey and a parrot roaming the halls like curious visitors. But for all its grandeur, Bella Vista signaled difficult days ahead. As his health worsened and money issues piled up in the 1930s, Barrymore had to give up the house, a crushing blow for someone who once stood atop the Hollywood hierarchy. Ownership changed hands, and Bella Vista was eventually demolished, erasing a rare monument to Barrymore's shining yet troubled legacy. Still, stories about those hidden bookcases and spontaneous Shakespearean performances continue to enthrall fans of old Hollywood, serving as a reminder of Barrymore's undeniable brilliance and his sad final years. Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr's Hollywood home blended sophisticated glamour with sheer ingenuity, just like the star herself. Built in the 1940s on a lofty hillside, it had a sleek, minimalist layout and huge windows that bathed the rooms in natural light. To many, it looked like the ultra-stylish lair of a screen goddess. But the real secret was that Lamarr was more than just a dazzling face. She maintained a hidden workshop inside, where she toyed with groundbreaking ideas, including her frequency-hopping invention that paved the way for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. In a place defined by flashy premieres, Lamarr quietly followed her intellectual passions, rarely inviting anyone into her workshop. Few realized her knack for advanced problem-solving. That secret blend of star power and inventive thinking turned her into a near-mythical figure in show business. Though her house no longer stands, fans remain captivated by the idea that Lamarr balanced epic stardom with scientific pursuits at a time when the film world wasn't prepared to celebrate a leading lady's brilliance. Her saga underscores how Hollywood's glitz can hide unexpected depths, proving real creativity can't be confined to a single spotlight. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes's Beverly Hills estate resembled a complex labyrinth, a fitting match for the exceptional but tormented mind behind it. Bought in the 1920s, this property sat tucked behind towering walls and dense greenery, offering absolute isolation to a man who grew steadily more reclusive. Indoors, the style fused luxurious elegance with cutting-edge gadgets, which made perfect sense for an inventor and aviation pioneer always pushing the limits. He even had his own airstrip on the grounds, allowing him to come and go in total secrecy. As his paranoia and idiosyncrasies took hold, Hughes added hidden chambers and secret passageways, eager to preserve his privacy at all costs. Rumor has it he obsessed over the tiniest details, from furniture placement to each room's precise temperature. When his mental state collapsed in the 1940s and 1950s, the estate became less like a glamorous haven and more like a private prison. After his death in the 1970s, it was sold off and torn down, dispersing its eerie presence in the neighborhood. But stories of Hughes's genius and haunting secrecy continue to fascinate us, reminding everyone that brilliance can come at a steep cost, and that solitude can be comforting yet punishing all at once. Dolores Del Rio. Dolores Del Rio's Los Angeles residence captured both her deep Mexican heritage and her eagerness to break new ground. Designed in the 1920s by forward-thinking architect Richard Neutra, it stood in stark contrast to the elaborate mansions preferred by Hollywood's upper crust. Large windows and airy open floor plans created a crisp, modern vibe that aligned with Del Rio's quest to redefine luxury. Inside, she proudly displayed art and artifacts from Mexico, creating a sanctuary that allowed her to honor her roots. This house drew other creatives, too. Painters, writers, and fellow actors like Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo frequently visited, attracted by the refreshing break from typical Hollywood decor. However, when Del Rio's career in the U.S. declined in the 1940s, she returned to Mexico, where she continued performing and became a prominent figure in her homeland's film scene. Over time, new owners modified her old place, eroding some of Neutra's original design. Still, architecture buffs honor its status as a pioneer of modernism in Southern California. To this day, Dolores Del Rio's former home symbolizes how an artist can fuse cultural legacy with avant-garde style, leaving an indelible mark beyond the silver screen. James Dean. James Dean's final residence, a modest Sherman Oaks bungalow, seemed worlds away from the fast-paced lifestyle he portrayed on camera. In the mid-1950s, he rented this understated place, apparently preferring quiet solitude to the constant swirl of Hollywood soirees. Yet the house still revealed glimpses of his intense drive and fierce passions. His prized Porsche 550 Spider, which would tragically be linked to his fatal crash, was often kept in the garage. Inside, Dean displayed a contemplative side. He might sketch, read scripts, or even experiment with the bongos, hinting at a boundless artistry that went far beyond acting. Close companions remember how Dean escaped here to avoid relentless studio demands, craving space where he could simply be himself instead of performing around the clock. After his shocking death in 1955, the bungalow largely stayed as it was, frozen in time like a snapshot of Dean's short but blazing career. Although it has seen some updates over the years, fans still show up, eager to imagine Dean off-screen, just a young man wrestling with ambition and doubt. In many ways, that little bungalow underscores the divide between the iconic James Dean legend and the authentic soul who sought refuge behind its unremarkable walls. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield's famously nicknamed Pink Palace was unlike anything else on the Los Angeles landscape. Erected in the late 1950s, it was impossible to overlook with its flamboyant bubblegum pink exterior. Many claim it perfectly mirrored Mansfield's supersized personality, and every inch of it let you know she was determined to be unforgettable. Highlights included a heart-shaped pool bearing a mosaic that read, "I love you, Janie," and the pink didn't end with the carpets. It also colored the walls and even the ceilings of certain rooms. Her then-husband, Mickey Hargitay, a one-time Mr. Universe, added to the spectacle by installing a fountain that Mansfield occasionally filled with pink champagne for her high-energy get-togethers. Although the house was undeniably eye-popping, it also reflected Jane's underlying desire to outshine a Hollywood scene that constantly drew comparisons between her and Marilyn Monroe. She refused to fade into the background, and her pink palace boldly declared that for all to see. Unfortunately, the home was demolished in the early 2000s. Even so, countless fans remember its uproarious, over-the-top ambience, a visual testament to a woman who embraced every outrageous opportunity to stand out right up until her final days. Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton's old Beverly Hills estate felt like a tangible homage to the silent film era. Constructed in the 1920s, it boasted 20 rooms packed with surprises, a Roman-style swimming pool, a trout stream, and even an aviary. Famed for his ingenious comedy, Keaton also added a hidden bar that could transform into a private screening room. At the time, this mansion showed just how triumphant he was in the golden age of silent cinema. Yet the house also foreshadowed the difficulties that lay ahead. Following the rise of sound films, Keaton wrestled with career setbacks, financial troubles, and a messy divorce that forced him to let go of this prized property. His battles with alcohol only deepened his struggles, and the estate stood as a constant reminder of how quickly Hollywood's affections can fade. Though the original home is now long gone, its tale endures among movie buffs and historians, a bittersweet footnote in Keaton's life story, underscoring his unparalleled creativity and the steep hurdles he faced off-screen. Marion Davies. Marion Davies's Ocean House in Santa Monica felt more like a seaside castle than a mere mansion. Completed in the 1920s with big financial backing from the powerful William Randolph Hearst, the place boasted over 100 rooms, 55 bathrooms, and 37 fireplaces. At its center lay a grand 110-foot pool ornamented with marble statues and surrounded by vibrant greenery. Davies, transitioning from silent film luminary to glamorous socialite, threw parties that people still gush about, playing host to luminaries like Winston Churchill and Charlie Chaplin. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino's Falcon Lair was more than a place to live. It felt like a grand fortress cloaked in mystery. Built in the 1920s in Beverly Crest, it showcased his Italian roots with sprawling gardens, arched gates, and a dramatic staircase reminiscent of medieval Europe. He named it after his film The Hooded Falcon, but the estate ended up closely entwined with Valentino's own private woes. He spent large sums and poured his energy into Falcon Lair, yet he barely had time to enjoy it. Only months after moving in, Valentino passed away suddenly at the age of 31, leaving legions of fans devastated. Mourners gathered at the gates for years, leaving flowers and whispering that Valentino himself believed the place was cursed, a rumor that only grew louder after his untimely passing. Over time, various owners came and went, and each reported eerie sightings, strange noises, ghostly shapes, and unsettling sensations. In the early 2000s, Falcon Lair was finally demolished, wiping its imposing physical presence off the map. Yet the legend lives on as a haunting tribute to Hollywood's first great heartthrob, a reminder that fame can dazzle one moment and vanish the next, leaving behind restless spirits of ambition and dread. Mary Pickford. Mary Pickford's mansion, called Pickfair, felt like an entire kingdom in Beverly Hills. Built in the 1920s, it spotlighted her immense status as one of Hollywood's first superstars. She shared this jaw-dropping 42-room estate with Douglas Fairbanks, transforming it into a hub for some of the era's brightest luminaries, including Albert Einstein, Charlie Chaplin, and Amelia Earhart. Although it brimmed with merriment and glitz, Pickfair also held a darker side related to Mary's personal life. When she and Fairbanks divorced in the 1930s, Mary withdrew from public life, seldom leaving this luxurious sanctuary. Rumors swirled that she wandered the opulent corridors in her later years, tormented by memories of stardom past and a shattered relationship. Tragically, the 1990s saw Pia Zadora, who then owned the estate, demolish it, citing structural issues and possible hauntings. That decision infuriated film history devotees, who saw it as erasing a cornerstone of Hollywood's storied past. Though the building itself is gone, the name Pickfair still conjures images of stars at their peak, reflecting both the bright highlights and the sorrowful secrets that often lurked behind Hollywood's glittering facade. Douglas Fairbanks. Douglas Fairbanks, famous for swashbuckling roles like the Thief of Baghdad and Robin Hood, lived a life off-screen as extravagant as any of his movies. Although he once shared Pickfair with Mary Pickford, he also owned a second sanctuary in Santa Monica famously called Fairbanks Ranch. This green retreat boasted manicured gardens, a private lake, and a cozy boathouse. A dedicated athlete, Fairbanks installed a cutting-edge gym and a tennis court on the estate, inviting Tinseltown's top celebrities for friendly matches that sparkled with star power. One of the ranch's most talked-about curiosities was a secret tunnel that stretched from the main house to the boathouse. Some say he used it to elude invasive reporters, while others claim he would stage elaborate entrances that delighted his party guests. Once his marriage dissolved and his box office draw began to fade, Fairbanks found refuge in this idyllic spot, spending more time away from prying eyes. Eventually, the property was subdivided and sold, but its legend lived on. Today, the idea of that underground passage and secluded lake reminds us of the balance Fairbanks tried to strike.